All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel. If you're listening to this the day after the Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam. I am joined by Colin once again. Knicks win in probably their best win all year. 108 to 97 versus a dominant 76ers team that has been basically steamrolling the competition, winning 8 straight on the road heading into tonight's game versus the Knicks. The Knicks come back from 21 down in the first quarter and beat the 76ers. A day after, they almost complete another comeback versus the Clippers, and it falls short in overtime. I mean, this team continues to baffle my mind. Um, I just it's just so insane the highs and the lows of this team, how much they can fluctuate and differentiate from each other. But the Knicks, they got the job done tonight. Um, and yeah, tons to get into. I mean, we had the bench. I think we could start there. The bench, they started things off really well. They were the main reason why we came back into the game. But Evan Fournier gave us some great minutes. Deuce McBride gave us some great minutes, and Isaiah Hartenstein gave us some great minutes. Fournier with a season high of 17, I believe.
Yes, sir.
17 off the bench with
On
five
the three.
threes. Deuce giving you 14 off the bench. I mean, what more
Crazy.
can you ask from with three threes? And Hartenstein giving you 14 boards off the bench. And I was actually upset that he fouled out tonight for the first time in like his whole Knicks career. I was upset that he got fouled out because he was just doing that great of a job defensively and on the boards. Um, but yeah, I mean, how'd you feel about this game, Colin?
Fucking sick. Fuck the 76ers, bro. I hate James Harden, man. Joel Embiid may be a future Nick, but James Harden can suck it for now. I was ready too. DeAnthony Melton showed up ready to fucking ball too. I thought he was gonna have one of those 30.7 steals games for a second. I was scared, man. But yeah, went down early, just rallied, and the bench just continuing to provide some fluidity, in those minutes where we don't have Jalen, which Jalen played a bunch with the bench tonight, but when we don't have Jalen or Julius on the floor. And Miles McBride, not enough can be said. I just looked. This is the second highest plus minus that he's ever had. He had plus 37 against the Pistons in December of last year. Not last year, but last season.
Mm.
And he was a plus 34 off the bench tonight. Absolutely crazy. 14 points. He hit 3 threes, got to the line for 6 free throws, made 5 of them. He is really carving out a role for himself. And I did not see that coming. Not even a little bit. But between him, Obi had some nice minutes. I thought that Tibbs made the right decision when he did bench him because there was a timeout in the fourth, and it was like, okay, now he's going to go back to Julius. He brought Obi back in and then eventually subbed him out for Julius. I thought the timing was just right on that. Obi provided a little bit of juice as he does. His stroke is looking buttery like crazy. Even on his misses, you think they're going in nowadays, which is nice because I'm so used to him hitting the side of the fucking backboard and shit. So it was nice, man. Good team win. Quickly didn't play as much, but I think, and we can talk about it. They really kind of put him on an island on offense where he wasn't touching the ball at all. And, unfortunately, he does kind of need the ball on offense to impact the game a little bit, but still did his thing on the defensive end and a great game for Hartenstein. I mean, a bunch of revivals happening in the back half of the season here with Hartenstein putting it together, Miles McBride finding his footing. Really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Miles McBride is someone that most of the fan base was calling for him to get benched. And everyone was just enamored with all the trade talks that were happening because it was like, oh, all right, finally we're gonna get some bench help. But now like Deuce has like started to, like you said, carve out a nice role for himself. He's been able to consistently like shoot the ball pretty well. He's been consistently aggressive and he's been making like quick decisions. He hasn't been really hesitating on offense when it comes to taking shots. And that's all we really wanted from him. And he provided that. He was able to, just be the bench spark that we need. And like you said with IQ, with IQ tonight too, it was weird because like Thibs didn't really play him with that second unit all that much, which I think would have helped him be able to find some offensive footing. Um, Instead, he went with Jalen Brunson with the second unit, which again I don't have any problems with. Um, but again, if they were trying to get quickly, I guess like going a little bit more, they could have easily gave him some of those minutes with the second unit. But again, we got the win, so I'm not going to really complain about things too much tonight. We will focus on more of the positives. It was funny how this game started though. Well, not funny actually. Well, the way
I
ESPN
didn't think
had
it
their
was funny at
scheduling,
all.
it
Oh, you're
wasn't.
talking about the flag football. Yeah.
Not even just that, but like everything leading up to the game starting. So like first we have the Pro Bowl flag football going on. Everyone doesn't know what the hell's going on with like where's the game gonna be like broadcasted. Then out of nowhere we get like this notification that RJ is like suddenly sick and he's out. And like now everyone's speculating that he was in a trade. They said him and Evan Fournier were on the bench, and everyone's like, all right, so I guess they're both gone. Um, Everyone just like started preparing for like the next notification to be from like Shams or Begley or something.
I blame Bondi. He's the one who's stirring the pot with that shit. He's like, yeah, Evan Fournier is not here. So then I text my buddy Craig, who's at the game, and he's like, no, I thought I just saw him. And then 20 seconds later, Bondi tweets, oh no, he's on the exercise bike. I didn't see him. Like he's a bald white dude on a basketball team, man. How do you not see him, bro? Come on.
Yeah, but like that whole thing kind of like really threw fans off. Like all of that sequence of events, and then to come out the first quarter, Knicks are getting shellacked. They're down like 33 to like 12 or something at that point.
They started like 5 for 18 from the field. It was awful.
Yeah. And you honestly, everyone's thinking to themselves, all right. I mean, I tweeted, I was like, how long until I could turn this game off? Because like I was
Literally.
just like waiting for like this lead to be like insurmountable to the point where like it's not even worth watching anymore. But the next they pushed through. I mean, even to end the first quarter, they ended the first quarter on what, like a 9-0 run, and then it turned into like a 15-0 run heading into like the beginning of the
Once
second
we got to the
quarter.
second, yeah, they went crazy because the thing is too, I was working for like the end of the first quarter into the second quarter. So I caught the 9-0 run. Then I ran downstairs to check on things. I came back up and we were only down by like 4 or 5 because they had even pushed it further. I think he just stuck with the same unit though, but I don't know what it is between the bench and the starters where the bench seems much more equipped to put these comebacks like into motion. And then the starters are better at like taking that momentum and rolling with it. Like you never see the starters initiate a comeback. Like it just doesn't happen. I don't know if that's something to do with Tibbs rotations or what, but you never see the starters like go on an 8 to 10-0 run. Like it just doesn't happen. It's always the bench. And then
Yeah.
eventually the starters get worked back in slowly and they can every now and then, like we saw tonight, finish it off. But even tonight, it was a lot of bench action. Fucking Miles McBride played like 24 minutes or something. Like
Yeah.
we did not use our usual rotation. And look, I'm not gonna. Is it nice that Tibbs played who he played at the end of the game? Absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's his job, man. Like, it's not a hard decision to play the players who put you in position to capitalize on a 21-point deficit. Like, that's not. He didn't have any breakthrough. Like, we don't have to give him props for that. Like, if anything, props to the guys for sticking to it because after last night's loss, nobody would have blamed them for
If they
falling
mailed it
over.
in.
Once the comeback looked shoddy, like, and if they would have rolled over, man, I mean, I don't know how pissed I would have been, but it would have been more reasonable. So, I mean, shout out to everybody. Good team win, especially on the second night of a back to back. I think we were 3-6, 3-6 on the second night of a back to back this year.
Mm.
So we're 3-4. I'm sorry, we're 3-6 in the
In overtimes.
overtime games, but we were 3-4 going into tonight. So now we're 500 on the second night of back to backs. I mean, that's what decent ball clubs do, you know.
Yeah. Shout out to Doc Rivers for like playing his awful bench unit a whole bunch of minutes, which allowed us to like come back into the game.
Every time there was a timeout, I just kept looking for Harden or Embiid to be back in, and then when he finally did it, he only put one of them in. He started with Harden, and he didn't even have Embiid in at first.
Yeah, and the thing
It's
is,
like really
Harden didn't even
unserious.
have it going offensively. Like he was
No,
just
not at
trying to
all.
be a distributor tonight. Weirdly enough. And that's basically who James Harden is now. I was honestly worried because I thought like I knew Joel was gonna get his classic like 30 points versus us. He had 6 made baskets and 31 points. I mean, that's insane.
I mean, he had
Um,
5 free throws in like the first 45 seconds.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. I thought he was going to have like 20 something free throws, which he ended up with 19 free throws for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's insane. 19 free throws. He hit 18 of them. But yeah, I expected that from him. For me, going into this game, I was worried, all right, is James Harden gonna have his like James Harden loves to go off against us. I don't know why, but like he always loves to go off for like a calm 5 threes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was also worried about like either Tyrese Maxey or Georges Niang just like lighting us up.
Niang was
Um,
talking so much shit after the last game. Or was it we beat them on Christmas, right?
they beat us on Christmas.
Damn. I don't know why I was messing. And then he was talking shit about how we played defense.
Yeah, he said
Yeah,
he
I was
hasn't
waiting on
seen
that
teams
too.
play drop coverage versus him like that in a
And
long
guess what?
time.
He was 0 for 4 tonight. So Georges Niang, you can take your ass back to wherever the you're from. All right. Go play in the team.
But yeah, that's who I was worried about going off against us tonight. Thankfully, none of those guys really had it going. It was just really Joel Embiid and like, yeah,
Even then, how much did he have it going? Like
yeah, it was more like him. So it was more so him getting like a bunch of calls,
the refs had him
and
going. That's what it was. Let's keep it a buck.
yeah, I mean,
Gave that
and I'm
man
good.
more free throws than shot attempts. All right.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
but yeah, I did want to highlight the bench to start. Shout out to the bench, man. If they could give us if they could give us this kind of consistent production. And I know Fournier is not part of the bench unit, because only it was because of RJ being out. But if when Quickly gets back to the bench, and if him and Deuce can really provide like this kind of consistent offensive spark, and Hartenstein keeps doing things that he's doing defensively, and on the glass, I feel really confident about how we can play in certain matchups, like come playoff time
I
or
mean,
even the play
especially
in.
considering that they're going to make an on the margins trade too. So
Yeah, they are.
we're going to have another player come in that they think, hopefully this year they can be on the same page with Thibodeau about a role, right? But they're going to have another player coming in that they think can impact. And if it's not Anunoby, then that player's coming off the bench. So we're talking about the bench getting better and hopefully RJ getting his, sick head out of his ass. Okay. There's a lot of potential here. It was either you or Tyrese. Somebody said, other coaches have to be looking at this team and realizing that we're a 50-win team, like easily. Like we are. Like we're a talented ball club.
It's just a matter of the coach being able to optimize that talent in
It's
the
the
highest level
orchestration. Yeah,
possible.
it's the orchestration of the operation. I mean, where you're putting your pieces that are best fit. And, not having that is making us look like this borderline team. But I mean, we showed tonight, even more so last night, rolling with the Clippers, and Kawhi had a 35 piece, and Paul George had a heater, right? Like, we can roll with pretty much anybody. It's the difference is the waves and how Thibodeau's embracing, or going against them with his lineups and his substitutions, and whether or not we're going to succeed in those situations.
Yeah, definitely.
The pieces are there, man. He's got what he needs.
Yeah, there's no more excuses for Thibs saying that the roster isn't talented enough, because on a nightly basis, like you said, we are in every single game that we play. Like, I can't remember the last time we've been like absolutely blown out of the water from start to finish in
That's
a
what I'm
game
saying.
versus an
Yeah.
opponent.
We were talking about it last night. We're like, when's the last time we had a normal ass fucking game? Like, because these guys, it's like a heavyweight fight every night. It's like literally a Rocky movie every night. Sometimes Apollo Creed wins, sometimes Rocky wins. But guess what? Even when Rocky loses, you come out, you're like, yo, Rocky's that motherfucking dude, bro. Like,
Yeah. Um, Chris Herring had a tweet like last month, which I think really applies to us. He said, well, it was about us, but I think it like applies. It's been even more pertinent since. He says, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but if you were to tell me there's someone that actually sits and watches Knicks games with one of those Buffalo Wild Wings buzzers, I'd believe you. Yeah. I mean,
what's the
the way
Buffalo Wild Wings buzzer?
it's basic is I think it was this commercial basically where like at Buffalo Wild Wings, like these people they pushed like a buzzer to like have these games like either go into like overtime or like have these
Oh, that's
crazy
hilarious.
finishes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like every single Knicks game is like that. There's someone that's like pushing some type of button that is like making us like have insane finishes on a night to night basis. Um
I mean, it's just the unexpected. We just can't have a normal game. Even tonight, It was like, man, I was pissed we were in a hole, and we were down 21 points, but I also knew at some point they were going to run off for 12 points at least. That's just who this team is.
Yeah. All right, yeah. So I mean, we can go through. We can talk about some of the starters, I guess, because we started with the bench tonight. But Julius Randle led the way in scoring, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists,
Really came
8 of
through at the end
19
of the
from the
game.
field. Huh?
Yeah, he really came through at the end of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Had
I
that
thought,
crazy floater, and
yeah, a couple of them just high off the glass, kissing him, bro. Like,
yeah,
it was nice. I didn't think that any of them were going in. I don't think.
that weird reverse layup
Yeah,
definitely.
I was like, no. I
He
was
should have
like,
got. He should have got a call on that one too.
he probably should have. Yeah, the refs were being finicky tonight. Hence, MB getting 19 free throws.
Yeah. I do want to highlight Jericho Sims. A lot of people, myself included, I haven't really been so high on Jericho Sims since he's been the starter, but I thought tonight he did a pretty good job on the glass, a little bit better today. 7 boards. Um, you know, he got
4 of
some
them were
contested
offensive.
rebounds.
Yeah.
Like I thought he did a pretty okay job tonight given the matchup. Of course it's going to be highly overshadowed and rightfully so because Hartenstein just was a man amongst boys in the paint when it came to just like deterring shots as well as grabbing rebounds, offensive and defensive. So yeah,
It's just funny to me because this is the kind of game, if I was Tibbs, I would seriously consider starting Isaiah in the next game because of the way that he finished, up until he fouled out. But because it's Tibbs, he's going to keep rolling with Sims because he's a results based coach. And he's going to say, well, we got the win and we did it this way. So we're going
mm-hmm.
to keep doing it this way.
Yep,
Sims is going to keep starting. And he was better tonight. I thought last night he was dog shit. And, Zubats is not as it's a different kind of matchup. You're talking about two completely different players as far as, in the post and outside. But Embiid is not an easy matchup to go to the next day either. And I thought that, he held his own for a little bit. You could see there were some learning moments where he stopped falling for some of that same bullshit that Embiid was giving him in the first quarter.
mm-hmm.
Like in the third quarter, especially, he stopped baiting or stopped falling for the bait, excuse me, and started fouling less. But yeah, 4 offensive rebounds against Joel Embiid. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that. I'll be happy when Mitch is back though. That's tonight. These last 2 games have both been games where it's like, I mean, he's the game changer. Like, there's a reason why he's got the deal. He's with us. Like, I,
Definitely.
I can't think of Mitch's record with the 76ers in the past or how he's played against Embiid, but I just know he would have played better. But no, shout out to Sims. He held his own today, especially after last night.
Yeah. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. Jalen Brunson, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Little panicky at the end of the game with the way he was handling the ball, but we got things done. I mean, he's supposed to be the guy that's like really steadying things, easing things down at the end of the games.
Calm in the moment, calm in the pocket. He's supposed to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that at all, especially, I mean, just these last 2 games. But he was hitting clutch shots last night, but the ball handling was still shaky. Like in overtime, maybe you're gassed at that point. But tonight, I mean, he almost gave the game away. It was like,
Yeah, there were a lot of shaky possessions with him.
and then he started getting pissed about the one freaky play where he got the ball like 3 different times and finally stepped out of bounds after it had been like ping ponged.
Mm-hmm.
And he started getting pissed and like stomping his feet. I'm like, bro, we're up 8 and there's a minute and 19 seconds left. You got to chill the fuck out. It's like he's just not wired in this calm and composure way that we need him to be. Not that Tibbs is like leading by example, but it's just I feel like at the beginning of the season, Jalen was so much better in these moments and so much calmer, and you didn't see that emotion. I can't help but wonder if that's like the wear and tear of the pressure, as like the season mounts and like we're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline, which means All-Star break, which means playoffs right around the corner. I don't know if these are things that are going through his mind and affecting him in that regard, but he's got to snap it back in. I don't know if that means he has to do the breathing exercises with Julius before the game or what, but he's lost his composure at the end of games multiple times.
I think he's been pretty much fine. I think tonight was one of those weird those weird instances. I mean, last game he did a really great job of getting his shot, and then also I think he also did a good job finding shots for guys, especially that Quentin Grimes huge three in that
Last night was really
corner
good
off the
point guard
play.
play from him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think tonight was one of those weirder examples of him like just like losing his cool in that moment. But I think um he was just like generally frustrated because he also had the whole free throw thing going on
Just made
today
some
as
free
well.
throws tonight too, yeah.
Which it's been a weird season for him with the free throws. Like there was a point earlier in the season where he was like really great. Then he had this stretch where he was like really bad. And then
We were
he's
so
been on a
thankful. We're
pretty
like, "Look,
great streak since that bad streak. And then tonight is like one of those hiccups.
we
So,
thought we had a guy who was automatic," and he was, and he can be in stretches, but I love this quote from Doc Rivers. They asked him about the Sixers bench. Hold up. He said, "I didn't think they played any defense or passed to each other." I got a hard time disagreeing.
well, I mean,
The Sixers bench had
yeah,
one assist
yeah.
for the Sixers
I
bench.
mean, when their bench was in the game, it felt like there was cones out there for the Knicks to just like score on. The Knicks were scoring with ease once the Sixers bench was out there. I mean, part of that is, great defenders like Montrezl Harrell and Shake Milton and Georges Niang are, just stifling the Knicks every single
Wasn't
possession.
Harrell supposed to be like Embiid's backup? He played 3 minutes tonight,
Yeah,
which is why they're
yeah,
back on the market looking for a backup big. He's just not good.
yeah. It was like, wow. I'm looking at the minutes tonight. It's like, I mean, who played Embiid's backup minutes? Was it like a mix of like playing PJ at the five
I think it was, yeah.
and Paul Reed played like 8 minutes or so?
They were
Yeah.
bad Paul Reed minutes. Somebody tell Hollinger.
Yeah, but yeah, they definitely it was a rough game for their bench, and thankfully our bench was able to step up. Shout out to Evan, shout out to Deuce, um, and yeah,
Great
uh,
dub.
very great win, probably the best one of this season. I mean, to come off the back to back and
It's the
be
biggest
down
comeback.
21
Yeah, it's the
in the
biggest
first
comeback.
quarter
Yeah. We haven't
shows
been down more
resilience.
than 21 and come back and won it. So that's, I mean, you got to take that
Definitely.
and enjoy it. When do we play
Yep.
next? Tuesday?
Yeah, I think we play the
Play the
Magic on
Hawks?
Tuesday in Orlando.
Oh, the Magic in Orlando. Okay.
And they've been playing really pretty well lately.
They're like, what did I see earlier? They're like 29 and 12 or something in their last like 40 something games.
Well, they're 22 and 32 on the year.
Yeah. You know what I meant.
But
They've
nah,
got a
they
good record and they're playing well, especially since Fultz came back.
yeah, that's definitely helped steady them. And we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Definitely don't want Gary Harris going off for like 5 threes or
Apparently
something
he's been
versus
playing
us.
well. I
He
don't know.
has been. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. On Tuesday.
Plus we're
All
going
right,
on the road, so that might be a dub.
could
Hey,
be.
we got to win at the Garden tonight. Yeah, shout out to that.
I will always take a win at MSG. Are we just gonna be 3 games above 500 for the rest of the year? I feel like we can't like escape this threshold of
It's
like
possible.
being 3 games over 500 on the year. Like these last, ever since the 8 game win streak. Good times that win streak. Good times.
Okay,
Um,
so we were 7 games under 500 at last year's deadline.
we
So
were.
yeah, 7 games.
And did we make any moves?
No.
Yeah, because I think they kind of accepted their fate at that point. Rightfully so.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of wrote like, and not to veer too far off the path, but I wrote in our deadline that's coming out tomorrow afternoon, our
I have
roundtable.
to add that. I have to.
Yeah, knock it out. But I touched on the fact that you're 3 games above 500. Now's the time to make a deal, and that's why you got to make that trade if you think there's a bench piece to help inflate things. If they think they can get on an Obi for a reasonable price, uh, because this team is close, like we said.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, we're gonna head to some comments. We do got quite a few rolling in. Before we get there, though, it's time for everyone's favorite part of these shows, the ad read. NBA fans, it's time to bring the hoops action to the palm of your hand with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all new and existing customers can get a no sweat same game parlay every day. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, opt in, and place a same game parlay on any NBA game. And if it doesn't hit, you'll get a free bet back. Shout out to Swin who had the Knicks money line call right
Did he place the
yesterday.
bet? I don't know. He had a couple glasses of ginger ale. I don't know. I don't know if he placed that bet.
Oh man, but yeah, he called it. He called it. He said Knicks money line. He
He
said he'll
did.
put some money on it. Who knows if he did? I don't know if Tyrese put some action on it too. I know they were talking about it, but if anyone else that was listening put some money on Knicks money line, you definitely won that.
Shouts.
Um,
Just
and
make
shout out to
sure
you
you
if you
use
double
that promo
down
code.
in the first quarter while the Knicks were down 21. That would have been a great time to put some money down on Knicks money
Right.
line, seeing how the Sixers always fold.
Literally. Uh, we were 0-11 after trailing after the third quarter tonight. Or I'm sorry,
Yep,
on the season. So
yep.
we're now 1-11. That's a
Had
new
to
one.
had to get that win somehow. Download the app now and sign up with code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void in Ohio. See show notes or show description for details. All right. Let's get into some comments. Brian Benjamin says Brunson's playing like he's trying to get that all-star spot left by Kyrie. Also, he really doesn't pass, lol, but can you blame him? So clarification, because I did tweet out today, without having any information. So apparently Kyrie, he still would be under like the East All-Star guards because he played a majority of his season under East All-Star, under the in the East. Also, people have referenced to me that when Melo got traded to the Knicks, he was still a All Star for the West
That's a
that
good one.
year.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize. I figured that's how it was going to end up. I'm like, the NBA is not going to turn that much up. Uh, it'll be interesting to see if anybody doesn't fall out, though. I think Fox. You think Fox is getting it in the West now?
could be
I anticipate. I mean, it's either him or
Ant.
Ant. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Jaw's already in. He'll probably start. Or no,
Mhm.
Dame might start too, though. I don't know.
I think it'll be Ja because of the votes, how many votes he had. I
Right.
think Ja had the third most votes amongst guards. So he'll get the starter spot, and then they'll probably put Fox or Ant to start. I mean, to replace Steph's spot.
I think you got to go Fox. But yeah, hopefully Brunson finds his way in there. It just doesn't. It's not going to be in place for Kyrie, unfortunately, Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately. I thought that's how things would work. It makes sense it would, but I guess it doesn't make sense to the NBA. All right. Let's see. Chris Barnard saying Evan going out with a bang tonight. Hope everything works out for him in Utah or Toronto. Oh man. That's
I'm
funny
not
though. I
against it.
mean,
Yeah.
for him to have this performance right before, also I mean, right before the trade deadline, it's pretty.
If this was his last game as a Knick, shout out to the French Knight. The French Knight rises tonight. What a great game for Evan. That one three, he had to be at least 31 foot off the right side.
Mm.
That shit was nice. They
Yeah,
played
he
well.
had he had a bunch of wild, absolutely wild heat checks, by the way.
Yeah, he missed one of them, but that's all right. You can't hit them all. But yeah, his three, the one where he relocated after Brunson dived, that shit was beautiful. But no, shout out
Yeah,
to Evan Fournier. He's been a good soldier. You can say a lot of things about him and how he played, to start the season, uh, or even last season. But man, has he been a good soldier? And yeah, hopefully he finds some playing time wherever he's at next.
definitely. He could definitely help a team who just needs some spot shooting out there. He was able to provide that for us tonight. And we came out with a win. All right. Chris Bernard also says, also thank God iHeart woke up from his 2-month nap to start playing well in 23. Now all we need is Mitch back, and the center position will be just fine. Yeah, I mean, Hartenstein, he definitely was really bad to start the season. He's definitely turned things up since the new year has flipped. Yeah, I mean,
Honestly,
I can't say any more positive things than what he's already been doing. So
I wonder if our expectations weren't inappropriately high given what we know about Tom Thibodeau as a coach. Uh, of course, it was going to be difficult for Hart to snap in. Like people have brought it up 100 times. His assist percentage in LA was over 20%. It's not even 6% this year with the Knicks. To say that he is playing a completely different role is underselling it. Like he probably was never going to snap in right away, and that wasn't really fair of us to assume that. Could he have played better, on the defensive end? Assuredly, and he's had some Noel-esque moments with his hands, but yeah, maybe he just needed time. I can still see him being a productive member of this team, especially after back-to-back games like we had last night and today.
definitely. Um, let's see. What else do we have here? Jordan Bubb says drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Definitely do that. We are on our way to 1K subs. All that you do will help us with the YouTube algorithm. I have no idea how the YouTube algorithm works, but leaving a like and subscribing definitely helps us out a ton. So thank you, Jordan Bubb, for that. RR says I asked Tyrese about Randall's floater package in the summer. Now look at us. Yeah, he's had some pretty good floaters this year. I will say that. So shout out to the summer work that he put in.
Floater, yeah, he's pretty erratically hitting it in different places off the glass, but yes, he's had some nice moments, especially tonight in the fourth. And he had three of them at least. Uh, I didn't think any of them were going to go in, as we mentioned, but yeah, shout out to Randall adding something different, to his game on offense, especially after last season. We've talked about how he kind of locked in, and he was just as important to tonight's win as Evan Fournier was down the stretch.
Definitely. Um, let's see. As Arthur says, quality win against a good opponent. Early ball movement was beautiful to watch. Um, I just saw a tweet here. Someone says Knicks just beat a top 4 team in the NBA while missing 2 starters and having played an overtime game the night before.
Let's talk
Impressive.
about it. Yeah. If it wasn't so corny, I'd say hang the banner. But this was a
Yeah,
good,
the hang the banner jokes have been all ruined thanks to
yeah,
one Tommy Beer,
yeah, Bomby
who
Tier.
has honestly like ruined the joke
Sincerely.
and run it into the
These are one of those
ground.
wins, though, that make you feel like that. The 76ers are good. They had won 8 straight games on the road coming into tonight. So they're the anti Knicks. They play their best ball on the road, and we beat them at home tonight. So that's unstoppable force meets a movable object. You got to take that.
Yeah. Um. hmm. Oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely. I was I mean, obviously pretty negative heading into this game if you just saw my timeline
It's hard not to be.
and and especially after the result of last night's game, like you said, it's hard not to be. But shout out to the Knicks for being the most predictable team ever. They're predictable in how their style of play is, but they're unpredictable in the result that you'll get. Um, you know, lose to the Lakers, battle with the Clippers to take them to overtime, battle with the Sixers and come back from 21 down in the first quarter and win the game without 2 starters. I mean, it's just wild what this team is able to do. And I like, yeah, I don't really know how else other to explain it.
Definitely just Jekyll and Hyde and a secret third identity. The way they played the last 3 games. I enjoy it to a certain extent, but more wins would be nice. And hey, 3 games above 500, like you said.
That seems to be our
If
threshold.
that's how we finished, so that's what 44-38. Yeah, that'd be 3 games above 500. 41-41. Yeah. I mean, that's a good year. I mean, shit. What did we win the 21-22? 47? Or I'm sorry, 2 years ago?
We won. We went 41-31.
Oh, we went because it was 72 game season.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. 44-38, we're in the playoffs, and I don't think we're in the play in either. So I wouldn't hate that, especially if things are coming together. Playoff matchup is definitely a conversation for a later date, but 3 games above 500, man. I mean, you can complain about a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, so many teams aren't.
Yeah. Especially in this weird new NBA landscape we're about to head into after the trade deadline. I mean, we already had one big, huge trade today, which we can discuss later, and how it might impact the Knicks and their price for other players going forward. But yeah, let's see. Ace Bouchard says Fournier is the new Kemba. He's good for one game. He's good for one game with a 4-month rest. I mean, hey, he's like the breaking case of emergency guy. I mean, he's played a decent amount this year. It's like he hasn't really been just like completely on ice. He's played a bunch when guys are just like not in the rotation or not in the game. So
Or if we have the full rotation and we just play like absolute dog shit, yeah. But I mean, this year he's only played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in
wow.
2023, and we are 1, 2, 3. Or I'm sorry, tonight would have been the seventh game. Forgive me. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 4-3 when Fournier plays in 2023. God, I hope nobody tells Tibbs that.
Don't tell him that. He'll put him right back in the rotation. He'll
Right.
expand it to 10 men, which wouldn't be too bad, honestly, if he expands the rotation to 10 guys. It's just I don't trust Fournier to be a reliable 10th guy. Like, good for him for having this game, but like I don't trust him to do this on a nightly basis. Like, the reason why tonight was so great is because it was like, oh shit, Fournier went off. Like,
Literally.
finally.
That goes back to my point about Thibodeau, where it's like everybody's rebounding on me for a tweet I made earlier. I sent out a tweet and said, I don't think that Tom Thibodeau deserves another game with this team. And do I stand by that after the game? I mean, obviously to a lesser extent because we won the fucking ball game, but at the same time, Thibodeau, Evan Fournier, who he brought out in case of an emergency, hit 5 threes. He
Mm-hmm.
scored a season high in points. These aren't things that he's coaching for. These are just things that are happening by way of virtue from the guys that are on the floor. Evan Fournier was as close to hitting 5 threes and winning us this game as he was to not being on the floor for the entire fucking 48 minutes. So that doesn't, to me, relinquish any blame. I mean, again, we went down 21, and the offense is just so uninspiring. I just
Yeah.
There was even that one sequence towards the end of the game where Randall and Fournier just kept playing hot potato with the ball. It's like, what are we doing here? Whoever is the coach after Tom Thibodeau, because this guy is not going to be the coach for the Knicks, within a reasonable 3-year window from today. Somebody else will be in his place. I anticipate we'll see some creativity on offense that we are not akin to, and things will be smoother.
We're gonna have a coach that like runs like all these different like motion actions and shit, and we're gonna be like, oh my
I'm not even going to know what
god.
the fuck it is because I've been watching Tom Thibodeau's teams for 3 years straight. My brain is so defunct of any actual basketball like graft playbook. Like, I have no idea. I just expect the ball to go to Julius, and if it doesn't go to Julius, it goes to Brunson. If it doesn't go to Brunson, then it goes to RJ. Okay, the end. I mean, that's literally it. Uh, I don't know. You'd like to see him do something more. I can't imagine that he's scheming a bunch of this stuff up, but whatever. Again, he watches the tape. What do I know?
What do we know? We're not coaches.
Nope.
Let's see. Jordan Bub says IQ was fouled when he made the shot at the end of the third quarter, and I think he got injured on the play. as well, which factors into the decision to not play him in the fourth quarter. Well, I haven't seen or heard anything about that, so I don't want to speculate about him having an injury.
I can
And
send it to
Colin
you.
can check right now. But I think IQ just didn't have it going tonight. Mainly due to like the starters not really knowing how to play with him. At least this set of starters not knowing how to play with him. Um, and that definitely didn't help with him getting into any type of offensive flow. Um, and Deuce and Hartenstein, they just had it going today, as well as
Deuce
Fournier.
especially. Yeah.
So like I think Thibs just felt comfortable with leaving the guys out there that had
When
it
Deuce
going,
like
which
that,
is weird because when the team is fully healthy, he will continue to just like go back to like he'll go to like RJ, even if RJ is not having the best game. Like he'll be like, "Oh, I'm going back to RJ because or because of size or some other reason." But like, or he'll go back to like any other player that's not really playing that well, and he'll be like, "Oh, this is their regular rotation, so I'm just gonna stick to it." So when guys are injured and the rotations change a whole bunch, you know, Dibs will do the things that he's supposed to do, i.e., sticking with the guys that won him the minutes that they've played already. Sometimes to a detriment because he'll end up playing guys like 15 plus straight minutes, which is ridiculous because any other team would just stagger the minutes of their players so that way they don't get too gassed after playing so much long. But I'm assuming, Colin, you haven't found anything about Emmanuel quickly injury.
I was about to tell you. So check Discord. I just sent it to you. Like the
Uh,
actual play that that Jordan is talking about referencing.
okay.
If you look, that's a video courtesy of Zebo187 in the Discord. Guys, we are always talking basketball. We got a bunch of guys with a bunch of access to different tools. Guys are clipping plays, bringing up stat searches. It is all hoop all the time at the Strickland Discord. You guys ought to join our Patreon and hang out with us because it is really, we do this shit 24/7. It's a blast, really. You can go to our Twitter, see more about that. But otherwise, the strict.land, on the interwebs. And if you join the $6 tier on our Patreon, you can join the conversation with us.
Oh yeah, I see him holding his thigh or something like that after the play. That could be. Um, I'll wait to hear if you know if he's actually hurt.
I'm not confident one way or the other, but I understand why Jordan may have thought that.
Yeah, I mean, IQ someone that's like he really doesn't let any injury or any of the sort
I'd
really
be
take
shocked.
him out of a game or bother him that much. I mean,
So speaking of, that might be a good segue. RJ, that was weird.
yes, very
That
weird.
was really weird. He did the
I
whole
mean,
shoot
he
around.
he was in the pregame lineups.
They tweeted the starting lineup, and
They
he
tweeted
was
the
in it.
starting lineup. They tweeted a video of him dunking
That's
pregame,
crazy.
and then they said he felt sick.
It makes you wonder if, like, a part of the fact that he had a terrible game yesterday kind of goes into that, where it's like, yeah, like you're obviously in a rut. Like maybe just go ice it up. We'll see you. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Could be.
But
I mean,
also,
hey, they were still able to pull out the win. So
Brunson was also sick a couple days ago. So I think the running theory is that
there's a sickness going around on the team.
passed it to him. Yeah,
Could be, but also man, RJ gets sick a lot, man.
that's what you said. He has.
He,
What did you say? The
I
immune
said
system.
he has the immune system of a toddler, and mainly because I can relate because I work with toddlers
Right. Well, that's
every
all about
day.
anybody knows. Yeah.
So I know how bad their immune systems are. And my goodness, this guy needs a life supply of Pedialyte because it's ridiculous. Either that or he needs a new nutritionist because my goodness, always sick. But man, I hope he feels better. I hope it doesn't, really affect him to the point where he has another stinky streak and they'll everyone's shitting on him or whatever. But yeah. And some people are probably gonna be like, oh, that's probably the reason why he was bad last night. I don't know, maybe not. I don't really like to put so much stock into it, although he does look really pathetic when he's sick. It's better if he just doesn't play if he's gonna be that pathetic, then, in my opinion. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, this guy gets some tea or something, and he's got Caribbean background roots. They are great with this type of remedy when it comes to being sick. So hopefully he goes back to his roots and get some quick remedies, get better, get some tea, RJ.
At
Uh,
NY Post_Berman. Great to see 2021 draft pick Miles McBride knock down his threes. If he can maintain consistency there, you got something special off the bench because he's such a team first guy. Shout out Mark Berman.
no
Tweeting from the
lies,
grave. Tweeting
no
from the grave.
no lies there, no lies being told there. Um, he's right. I mean, with players like Deuce, I know like in hindsight now you're like, man, it's good to be patient with these type of players when like they're going through these ruts. But man, it was rough when Deuce just didn't have it going offensively and he just looked like lost out there in terms of like wanting to take shots and do anything on defense. I mean or on offense, I mean. So it's good to see him finally come out of that.
It's very Obi like as far as the progression and confidence.
Yeah.
And like we're really seeing it in real time. This isn't anything that just happened overnight. Like it's been very gradual. And nights like tonight, like good for him.
And the
Uh,
fact that it's happening on a winning team makes it all the
well,
more
exactly
special.
too. This isn't like the 1765 Knicks Kevin Knox. You know what I mean? Like
Oof.
this is no. This is Miles McBride playing a role for a coach who wouldn't play him if he wasn't helping us towards a win. At least so Tibbs says. Obi Toppin may beg to differ, but nonetheless, uh, Deuce is playing big for us in wins, and that, yeah.
It means something in the grand scheme of things.
Let me find this tweet I just read from Andrew Claudio. In the last 2 weeks, the Knicks have beaten the Boston Celtics, who are the number one seed in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers, who are the number two seed in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the fifth seed in the East, and the Miami Heat, who are the sixth seed in the East. This team is just stupid.
It makes no sense because then we lose to the Lakers.
That's not with any of
Like,
Bondi's injury luck bullshit either. All right.
yeah,
Everybody was there for all those games.
yeah.
Like, or did Jaylen Brown miss the Knicks game? I don't think so.
No, he was there.
Yeah, he was there.
He was the one that missed the free
Bullshit.
throws
Yeah, and he missed the free
in overtime.
because that's where we got the Randall smiling photo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
just
yeah,
like
we've beaten all these teams fully healthy. And the big joke on the post game that me and Jeff have is that like every opponent gets healthy right for the Knicks. And like literally every single one of those games, I was like, oh great, like the Celtics, they rested all their guys the night before versus Miami, so that way they can have all their guys healthy versus the Knicks. Cleveland, they were missing like Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen before they played the Knicks. Oh wow, they're both magically healthy to play the Knicks. The Clippers, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're always, fluctuating who misses games, who plays the games. They were both decided to play versus the Knicks. Like, Miami, Jimmy Butler, always out. Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, all those guys, they all, decide when they don't want to play, when they want to play. They all decide to play versus the Knicks, you know. It's
everybody gets
just,
up to the Garden.
yeah, everyone likes to, be ready for the Knicks. And, I guess that shows a level of respect, I guess, for us. In a way.
Yeah, our guys are kind of plugged in, man. Like the players on our team are popular guys. Like
Yeah, everyone loves Jalen Brunson in the
everyone
league.
loves Brunson. Most people love Randall. They respect him as a competitor. Like Mitch is a freak of nature. Like RJ, Duke, like took the picture with Kay and Kyrie and them. Like
Yeah.
our guys are pretty respected. Like from that angle, we're not the fucking Magic. Guys aren't like whatever. We're not the Kings.
Shout out to the Kings though. They have, the light the beam shit this year. They have the third seed. So,
Yeah, I just read a tweet that they're 8. They're 2-8 when their opponents are on the second night of a back-to-back.
Interesting.
So everything I've said about them being a fraud playoff team is pretty much holding up.
Well, in the playoffs, there's no back-to-backs.
It doesn't matter though. If you can't win those in the regular season, I mean that's a competitive. That's
advantage.
That instant kill. Like you should be ready to put them down.
I don't look too much into that for playoffs. because like there's no back-to-backs in the playoffs, so it's just like
I'm saying them playing teams that are on the second night of a back-to-back is testing their grit and their competitiveness. Like, if you are, because they're the 3 seed in the West, right? Like,
I believe so.
look back at like the top 3 seeds. Like, these are teams that win in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the 76ers are frauds too, because they couldn't beat us tonight.
Man, the West is so weird. 29-23 is good for third in the West. Wow. This NBA season is weird.
Roll him in his grave.
JL says the way we end games is so frustrating. Even when it feels over, these clowns can't get it over half court. Good win though.
A good win, but tonight is not the first night where they've had a hard time getting the ball across half court, and we're not playing, all defensive guards here. It's like James Harden is locking us up in the half court. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. JL, appreciate you tuning back in tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the way we end games is always frustrating. Whether it's like we can't get the ball over half court, we can't get the ball in bounds, we can't hold the ball, we can't make free throws with the ball, it's always something.
Shout out Miles McBride for his absolute bunnies on that faulty pass.
Oh yeah, the Odell catch he made and
Literally.
like tossed it to Grimes, who somehow kept it in bounds and got it to Brunson, who got it to like Sims in the corner, who got that dunk, I believe.
Dude, for 3 seconds, did you think that Sims was going to pull up? Because
no, not at all. Not at all. I didn't think that at all.
I would have given that man $100 because he was wide open. I thought, like, for 1 second, maybe he was just gonna show off a little bit.
No,
but I respect it because then Tibbs would have benched him for like 12 games.
I don't think he would have pulled it unless it was like
maybe if like time was expiring.
Yeah, if like the time was like definitely like really dwindling down, then yeah.
But there was like a split second because he was just wide open. I was like, no, he didn't. Good for him. He made the cut for the dunk. It was nice. Jericho Sims had the dagger tonight. Let it be on the record.
All right. Ace Bouchard getting into the real nitty gritty. So the Nets big three looking a little different these days, huh? Oh man, vindication for all Knicks fans.
It's sweet.
That Brooklyn big three, clean sweep era, all that good shit, didn't go through. Like, what did Katie and Kyrie play? What, 70 something games together?
Yeah, 78 games, I think.
Wow, that's remarkable. Oh, what's even funnier now is I'm seeing like Chris Haynes said that the Suns offered like 2 first-round picks, Jay Crowder and Chris Paul for Kyrie. Joe Tsai didn't want to negotiate with the Lakers because he didn't want to send Kyrie there on his Danny Ainge shit. Like,
so I started to read all this. Yeah, it looks like the Suns actually offered 1 first and Chris Paul
first
and Jay Crowder, and then the Nets said they wanted 3 firsts. So the Suns called their bullshit. The Clippers offered Kennard,
Man,
a
first and like some swaps, right?
And a swap too, 2 swaps. And the Nets said no. Clippers said okay, you. And then the Lakers offered Christie and Reeves, and I think Russ with 2 firsts. But I think it was something to do with the protections, maybe that.
No, what it was is I saw a report that came out just like 30 minutes ago or so, but they were like Joe Tsai just didn't want to send Kyrie to his preferred destination, which was the Lakers.
Stein did write that in his newsletter. He wrote that one of the underlying themes was that, Tsai had given a mandate. Let me read the exact quote so I'm not paraphrasing out the ass. But he wrote that in his newsletter. Mark Stein's an NBA insider. No one's going to take that away from him, but he's a Dallas guy through and through. I try to keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah, here it is. It's Trevor Lane. He said, latest report from the Stein line confirms that one of Joe Tsai's presumed objectives in a Kyrie trade was to not send him to his preferred landing spot, the Lakers.
Yeah. A
That's
presumed
hilarious.
one of the presumed objectives
That's
held by team
hilarious.
owner Joe Tsai by sending Irving somewhere other than the Lakers. Stein also says that Durant is a Finney Smith fan because, of course, he is. Um, and then the Nets also refused Dallas's attempts to send Christian Wood as a part of the deal, which is interesting.
Because I think what the Mavericks want to do is they want to use Wood to get like more depth.
No,
Um,
100%. But they tried to send Wood as a part of this deal. Now,
mm.
Stein also says that Wood, God, I hate this guy's fucking name, Christian Wood. Yeah, I'm like, Wood. No, okay. That the Clippers have interest in Christian Wood and D'Angelo Russell, as that's already been reported. And then here's my favorite line from the whole thing. Where's it at? Okay. The flip side, Dallas has as strong an infrastructure as a team possibly could to bring Irving on board in the middle of a season, with Nico Harrison as its GM and Jason Kidd as its coach. All right, man. Every team that Kyrie Irving has ever played for has had as strong as infrastructure as it could. And you've seen the
And he
screenshots.
comes in and he tears that shit down.
You've seen the screenshots today, right? Kyrie Irving's thrilled to be here for the Celtics. Cleveland, I'm thrilled to be here long term. Today it comes out, Kyrie Irving's thrilled to play with Luka Doncic.
He's
Like, yeah,
ecstatic.
this
It's
is.
always he's ecstatic.
I
He was
got to make a
ecstatic to
graphic.
be in Cleveland. He was ecstatic to join Brad Stevens.
Literally, I got to make a graphic. You know the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle for the
Mm-hmm.
NFL. I got to make one with Kyrie Irving where it's like he's ecstatic to be there, plays well to start, starter gets hurt or something, and then now he's back to being a fucking dickhead. How is Luka even health wise? Because I think Kyrie's gonna have to play a little bit by himself at first.
Yeah, he was dealing with a heel. He was dealing with an ankle injury. He was back from that. Now he's dealing with like a heel injury. He's out like for 2 games.
Yeah. So what do you think in general
Of the move?
about the trade?
Well, I mean, what I'll say is look at the Mavs bench, look at their defense now. Like it's hilarious. I
I
mean,
presume starting lineup is comedy.
yeah, it's Luca, Kyrie, Tim Hardaway apparently at small forward,
Christian Wood and
Christian
Dwight
Wood and
Powell.
Dwight Powell.
That is hideous. So it's not a position I like to be in. It's not comfortable for me. Put yourself in the shoes of the Mavericks. What are you pivoting towards to help counter this trade that you made? It's got to be front court, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You got to use Christian Wood's salary. Tim Hardaway makes 18 million. You got Davis Bertans makes 18 million. You got salary to work with. I think Hardaway may be expiring this year because didn't he turn down an extension, or maybe they didn't offer him one? I'm about to pull up their salary book real quick, but they're going to have to flip this because Stein also made sure to note that the Mavericks have not made any notion of, hey, we're going to give you a deal, whether right now or in the summertime. This is very much like Luka got hurt, Kyrie can drop 30, then together they'll be the highest scoring backcourt in the league. Like, let's run with it. But it feels very much like a win now move. And then if everything goes 10 out of 10, we'll talk about contract later. So that being said, there has to be another domino that's going to fall because Kyrie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood, and Dwight Powell isn't winning shit.
Oh hell no.
Not even in the West. And the West is weak, but the West goes through the Nuggets and the
And the
Grizzlies right now. Because I think Steph's going to be out for like a month. But so Dwight Powell makes 11 million. Davis Bertans makes 16 million. So Dwight Powell's salary is expiring. So that's a good one right there. You got an 11 million expiring salary. Christian Wood makes 14 million. He's also expiring. So you've got 25 million in expiring salary that you can use. Like, you can make something happen with that.
For sure.
It's going to be for someone who's under contract for, another year or so. And it's also not going to be anybody splashy because they definitely don't have picks to work with now, right? I mean, they sent the 29 first. We've got their 23. Let me pull up their picks as well. But I'm thinking if I'm the Mavericks, right? Like Nas Reed, somebody I'm probably looking at. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I almost, I don't know. They got to do something though, because this is not. This is a precedent. This is not the last thing. They've got their 24, 25, and 26 and 27 first rounders. So, but they can't trade the 24, right?
I don't think so.
So they can only trade 25. So they could do 25 and 27 if they wanted to get weird. But I mean, shit, you're setting yourself up for fucking hell if you trade both your 25 and your 27. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Bernard says maybe the Mavericks get a guy like Sadiq Bey. I've been on the record. I think Sadiq gets a bad rap from Tyrese specifically. Uh, I saw the stat tonight in his last 11 games. He's averaging over 5 free throw attempts and shooting 90% from the charity stripe. He's a guy who's getting to the basket, and obviously he is a decent 3-point shooter. Right now, their biggest 3-point threat is going to be Bullock, probably outside of Kyrie and Giannis, right?
Yikes.
And we all know how that goes. Everybody in this room should be very familiar for what that looks like. Uh, what do you think about like a John Collins? Like, it's terrible, but could you see it happening though?
Just search John Collins on Twitter under my name to see how
Yeah,
I feel about John
but you could
Collins.
see that happening, right? Like, I could very well see Dallas like trying to trade for John Collins. That would not surprise me. That's that kind of like mid caliber upgrade that a team like them would buy into right now. Jason Kidd is also about to be exposed because they're flipping this roster and he's not going to have the time that he's used to, like an off season.
Well, that's on Mark Cuban because first of all of this doesn't happen if they just keep Jalen Brunson. Like literally, they keep Jalen Brunson. They keep the depth that they have. Like they're going into this year. They get Christian Wood probably still maybe to give them more offensive firepower, and they
Cam
have a
Reddish.
pretty damn good team heading into this year. But nope, they wanted to be cheap with Jalen Brunson. He comes to the Knicks. He's virtually an all-star, by every metric except for the actual title of all-star. I mean, just look at how much points he's dropping a night and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, none of this happens if they keep Jalen Brunson, and the fact that they let him go is the reason why they're in like um the situation that they're in, to the point where they had to trade some of their better depth pieces, including one of their better defenders in Dorian Finney-Smith, off of a team that's already bad at defense.
They're the 24th ranked defense. They just traded their best defender. This is the Avengers. Thor is dead. Okay. Earth just lost its best defender. Quote unquote, Mark Ruffalo.
So here's a good question by Jordan Bubb. He says, "How does Kyrie's trade affect the landscape of the NBA, and how does it affect the Knicks trade deadline strategies?" Well, I think now teams, they are focusing their energy towards KD, not now, but possibly in the offseason. So the prices for wings now go drastically down, I think, because teams are not going all that crazy for, bidding for like OG Anunoby or someone like that. Like I think all these guys, their prices come significantly down, and teams like the Knicks, if they want to get them, they don't have to give up as much as they wanted to or as they would have had to before.
So I wonder for the Raptors, right? Because OG is going to be the hot name for the Knicks up until Thursday's buzzer. So now I wonder if we're being realistic, the Knicks are not a team that would be considered in the KD sweepstakes.
No.
It's just not a thing. It
Nets have
wouldn't.
they don't want to deal with us.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the craziest thing that ever happened, but off the cuff, right now, no, the Knicks are not one of those teams. Which means that we can be aggressive in the market now. We're not one of those teams that's going to be like, oh, I don't know, like maybe we should wait and see what KD does. No, we're not one of those teams. So now they should maintain and keep the course. But when it comes to the Raptors, we know Masai loves KD and wants KD in Toronto. He's had those conversations before. So it makes me wonder, one of two things will happen. He either is more eager to trade OG, who, despite Raptors fans' claims, very much does not want to be in Toronto anymore, and get assets now to help him get KD in the summertime, or does he keep OG to use as a part of the trade for KD in the offseason? That's what I'm wondering. I don't think that Masai is going to trade OG to the Nets to play with KD. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. You see what I'm saying? That's the one thing. Because Ian Begley's like, hey, the Nets are talking to the Raptors about a subsequent trade. Okay, but Masai wants KD. He's not going to send the Nets guys to help KD win now
Yeah.
because he wants KD. So to me, that takes them out of any running for OG. But that was like a big thing that popped up on Twitter today. Yeah, I'm sure the Nets called them. But again, Masai's smart. He's calculated. So I don't think they have a shot at KD. I mean, not at KD. I don't think the Nets have a shot at OG, which means to me, the smart thing to do would be to get the assets now so you've got more to offer Brooklyn in the summertime, which means taking the 2 protected first round picks because, yeah, the price just went down. The 2 protected first round picks and whoever for OG, if that's what Leon Rose says.
Yeah. I mean,
That
both
was my
both
thought. To your point, the price is going down, and the Knicks are in better position to get on Anunoby now. I don't think the Suns would beat our offer because I don't think in this situation, I think that Masai will prioritize picks to make a run at KD or whatever. I don't think he wants Cam Johnson and DeAndre Ayton, whatever, right? Like, how hilarious.
it'll probably be like Jay Crowder and maybe um some other salary plus like picks,
Right.
I assume.
But it's like, I don't know. I still like us in that situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jordan, I think certain teams are going to react to the Kevin Durant waiting game, and then certain teams are going to take that window where the other teams are reacting and try and step in front of them in the trade market. And then you're going to have your middle ground teams that are already just staying the ground as is. But it definitely shakes things up a little bit. But that's what Kyrie Irving does. He's a disruptor.
Yeah, I mean, you assume like other teams in the West are going to be like, all right, the Mavs made their move. Now it's time for us to make our move because Golden State is obviously going to be out of the running now with, Steph being out. So I think teams in the West also might react accordingly and, try to either step up their rosters with certain moves, probably, grabbing some vets from, these teams that want to get rid of players that are like helping them win, like the Jazz, for example. Teams are probably going to be calling the Jazz for guys like Malik Beasley, Clarkson, Conley, Vanderbilt. I imagine all those guys get calls. I imagine, guys from the Pistons get some calls like Burks, Noel, Bogdanovich.
Noel is going to be traded or he's going to be bought out.
Yeah.
I got that on pretty good authority.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna happen as well. But yeah, I mean, I
just
just I just feel like a lot of these good players on these these better team on these worst teams, they're gonna end up on like playoff teams that are looking to make a swing, especially after this Kyrie trade. Like they feel like, all right, now's our time to make this move. And, we're gonna see a lot of that happening.
100%. And I also think, again, the West is wide open. Do you think that the Mavericks can? I don't know. Luka's really good. I really think the Lakers should have done this deal. Even if Josiah, I would have found a way. You're Rob Pelinka. Do something. Because the West is wide open. Steph's hurt. Shit, Luka's hurt right now. It's the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. Nobody's worried about the Kings. If you can make a win now move, you can make a win now move. Make a push. So, do you think the Lakers do something before the deadline, or do they shift their focus to the buyout market?
That's always the Lakers. That's always what the Lakers do. Shift their focus to the buyout market.
That's their MO.
But man, I don't know because I don't like their main thing was their main objective was probably like to get rid of Russ, and I don't know how they do that now because like the Kyrie trade seemed like the one window or the one avenue into that. So I don't know.
Yeah, they turned down Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, which is now off the table.
Yeah, because the Pacers are like, half decent and they want to keep that team
Right.
together. So,
Uh,
and they
they
also
don't.
extended Miles Turner.
They have a phony all-star, but I'm not going to hold that against them right now. Uh, and they didn't get the Kyrie deal. I mean, it's hilarious. The most hilarious outcome is that Irving just walks this summer because that's what people do in Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, man, to have Jalen Brunson and Kyrie walking back to back off seasons would be hilarious.
Sincerely.
Would be absolutely hilarious. But we will see. Um, I mean, again, relating it back to the Knicks, the price for wings definitely goes down. The price for bench help definitely goes down. So I think the Knicks, they find themselves in a favorable position. So we will see how the Knicks react. And
I think for the Knicks, this doesn't change too much. Again, in general, right? Like Kyrie was never in their plans. They obviously weren't going to trade for Spencer Dinwiddie or Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, if anything, this just takes more mouths off the board. It makes them more likely to get what they want to get or what they're willing to get. I'm interested to see what happens with Van Vliet now too.
are the Raptors gonna,
I think they have to. They won tonight, which is so Raptors.
are they going to do the thing where they did that one deadline where everyone thought they were gonna trade Kyle Lowry and they just didn't do anything?
Es posible. Again, so I'll say this one thing too, right? I don't talk to people much. At the end of last week, I was told Masai was 65-35. 65, he was going to keep everybody into the summertime and reevaluate the trade market.
What's wrong with that guy?
Do with that what you will in the sense that Kyrie Irving has now been traded and how that could change things. But I was told he was 65-35. As of late last week, on whether or not he was going to make moves outside of trading Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is going to be traded. I think that's.
Yeah, I assume that his name's been out there too much for him to like remain a Raptor.
He's an expiring salary. They're not going to. Masai's going to trade him. But outside of that, I would not be surprised to see him stand pat. You brought up the Kyle Lowry thing. I mean, and again, the KD sweepstakes, how does that affect things? Uh, yeah,
So
don't hate that.
Chris Bernhardt says so potentially OG and Gary Trent Jr. price tag just dropped a whole first. Possibly. Depends on how the Raptors are evaluating their situation as well as how like the league is just determining the valuation of that deal now that they see that KD could be someone that's potentially available in the offseason.
Because now where Toronto is, people talk all the time. They say, oh, such and such is more valuable to X team than being traded somewhere. That's not where Anunoby is. The Raptors are 25-30. If Masai thinks that his value is peaked right now, then they're going to make the move, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of goes back to what kind of conversations have they had with Brooklyn? Because as we talked about, they're going to want to be in on the KD sweepstakes. So, but no, they can trade OG. And unfortunately, not much is going to change. And that doesn't mean that OG is not going to make an impact for the Knicks, but they're prepared for life without him. This isn't, hey, if they trade him, that's going to make. No, really, it's not. Like, Toronto's 25-30. They're not doing anything. Best to get the assets back. Trent's expiring. I don't know. I could see them doing 2 first, depending upon protections and
The
salary.
Knicks
Yeah.
for OG?
Yeah.
Possibly.
It would not shock me.
Jordan Bub asks, what would be worse for the Knicks, that they don't acquire a player at the trade deadline or Cam Reddish being here after the trade deadline? I think definitely just like not acquiring a player because I do think the bench needs help despite, Deuce's resurgence or just surgence in
I
general.
was about to say, yeah. Well, I mean, where he was before. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to rethink that there, but I think definitely not acquiring a player. I don't think Cam being here is that big of an issue. I mean, I saw him on the bench today. He seems like he's just like chilling. He's vibing, you know. He just seems like he's being a good team player. We really haven't heard much out of his side of the camp of anything. Like we've just heard that he's like teams have been inquiring about him. For example, I think we saw today there was something about like Cavs potentially wanting him for like Chetty and a pick, which is very interesting because if that's the price to get rid of Cam Reddish, then let's do that.
That was the other thing I wanted to ask you about. Yeah, what do you think about that? Because that report actually came out today.
I say do it. Why not?
I'd take Cedi Osman, Chetty Osman,
Yeah, I take him too.
and Tibbs would play him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're trading for Cam for a guy who Tibbs is going to play? Yeah, sign me up.
Expand the rotation to 10 guys and then allow, you know, get some give our wings, you know, proper rest so they don't have to play like 17 straight minute shifts. I'll take it.
You ready for this quote from Evan Fournier tonight?
All right, let's hear it.
Asked if he thinks this performance will get him back in the rotation on a permanent basis, he shook his head. Quote unquote, I swear to God, this is from the New York Post. This was like a one night stand. That is incredible.
That's great self-awareness from him. I love that.
Imagine being mad at Evan Fournier. Like,
That's amazing self-awareness.
what a pro's pro. Okay? Like
A one night stand.
they should really, honestly, one thing to think about too, they should send his ass back to Orlando.
Why?
Because they're a young locker room. And they need vets, and that's where he's from. And they'd probably play him.
Would they though?
Food for thought. And even if they don't, at least he's back in Orlando where he started out. I guess he started out in Denver, but nonetheless.
Started on Denver.
You know what I mean, though, right? Like that was the biggest stretch of his career. But no, a young team that's really bad, yeah, they could definitely use somebody like him. The fucking Timberwolves need somebody like him. Austin Rivers called himself the leader of the Timberwolves locker room the other night.
I mean, he's been the most vocal person there.
That's a direct quote. And
he's been the most vocal person there. I mean,
their hands with Mo Bamba in the middle of the game, and they lost.
That was hilarious, by the way.
That was great content.
It was. Shout out to the NBA for, you know, fire. The script writers this second half of the season.
They're popping off.
They've been doing a great job. I mean, between the fights, the trade deadline stuff, the Ja Morant news today, you know, they have not missed at all. Ace Bouchard says Fournier also proving that all that PR last year from the media trying to explain away why Thibs couldn't take him out of the starting lineup was clearly BS. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everything that, you know, the media tried to say about Thibs, it's been all debunked this year. Like, oh, he needs his point guard so that way he won't blow 20-point leads. Oh, like, you know, he didn't play IQ because IQ's not really a point guard. He didn't start IQ because IQ wasn't really a point guard. That's why he started Alec Burks. Oh, he couldn't take out Fournier out of the starting lineup because, you know, politics. All those things have been, you know, debunked this year. So, you know, anytime someone tells you something about Thibs, just like point them to all the stuff that we already like disputed about Thibs and have proven to be wrong. So yeah, there's that.
It's obvious. I mean, it's always all been BS. Unfortunately, it sucks for that to be our reality. But yeah, this is not news, but it is the latest installment. Ace, I'll give you that. It is the latest installment of Tibbs inadvertently debunking, you know, the theories that him and the media likely cooked together, you know, hand in hand at dinner after games. That was a bunch of PR BS. And I think we all know who he is as a coach, which is fine.
Yeah. All right. I think we can end things off here. Shout out to the Knicks for, you know, another exciting evening of basketball.
What a great Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I get to go head into work tomorrow with, you know,
look at that. What did you say?
Smile on my face.
What did you say yesterday? Gang.
Yep, we get to, I get to I get to head into work tomorrow with a smile on my face because the Knicks won instead of, a loss. So, that's always good. And they pulled off their biggest win of the season, biggest comeback of the year.
And the Nets are in
Um,
shambles.
and the Nets are in shambles. That is correct. So, we will catch you guys on Tuesday after the Knicks play the Magic. Hopefully the Knicks can, keep this
Prediction?
momentum rolling. I think they win.
As do I. I'm going to say the same.
Although the Magic have been a really good team, I still think they win. Um they'll be missing some guys because of
Because of the
the,
fight.
it's just Mobamba and he hasn't really been playing anyway. So
Was Suggs only suspended for one game?
yeah, it was just one game.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just Mobamba and he really hasn't been doing much.
Fair
So
enough. Just don't forget, like I said, they're like 29 and 13 in their last 12 games. Okay. So they're playing really well.
hashtag math.
I
But yeah, I think we win that game. There's also a possibility we lose it because the Knicks has just been that unpredictable this
think
year.
we're a good matchup for Orlando.
The size could bother us maybe a little bit
Right.
because they do have a bunch of size. Between the Wagner brothers, Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo, Bol. I mean, just a whole bunch of length there. So that's something that we do have to take in mind, especially missing Mitch, and who knows if RJ is going to be, still sick, and how
Yeah,
he
somebody tell
handles
Tibbs.
and how he
So he
handles,
can start prepping.
huh?
I said, somebody tell Tibbs so he can start prepping.
He's probably already watching the film right now.
Sheesh. Watching the film from today.
But yeah, all right. So, check out everything Stricken related in the description. We got links to the site, Patreon, merch, and Twitter. All great ways to support us. You can also follow us on Instagram at thestrick.land to get your Knicks Strickland fix there. Leave a like, subscribe. We're on our way to 1K subs. All that you do helps us get there. And yeah, we'll catch you guys after the Orlando game. Enjoy your Monday.
Go Knicks.